IEBC when it comes to registration matters that is set to kick off on the 29th of September 2025, and also new rules of engagement the IEBC has just announced a few hours ago when it comes to the by-election slated for November across the country. On the second hour, our keen focus will be on the education sector. Now, for this particular first hour, let's start on that particular e-procurement system that has created a debate both on and offline, especially from the quarters of the Council of Governors, members of Parliament on the floor of the House, as well as other key stakeholders within that particular sector, with the ministry as well as President William Ruto clearly stating that e-procurement system is the way to go and the government will not be backing away from that particular system in the fight, of course, against graft. Here with us in studio is none other than David Alulu, the Chief Executive Officer, Regional Agency for International Development and Leadership. David, karibu sana.
Asante sana. Good morning.
Good morning to you too. As well, Dr. Issack, Hassan, a governance expert. Dr. Always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much, Abdiaziz.
And before we start on our conversation, let's play a sound clip of the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, that is John Mbadi, in regards to this procurement system that he clearly states will be the way to go.
Government rolled out the electronic government procurement system on 1st July 2025 in what National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says is a movement to enhance accountability, confidentiality, integrity and authenticity in transactions between procuring entities and suppliers.
So is a demand that those of us who are charged with the responsibility of expending the very revenue that you collect must also equally employ fair, transparent, accountable, and cost-effective systems that would ensure prudent use of the resources that we collect.
Although enrollment was initially slow, with some protesting the introduction of electronic government procurement system, Mbadi notes that registration has steadily picked up as government agencies and suppliers rush to comply.
About 31 counties, their budgets have come from the controller of budget. Wengine wanapika kelele na hata budget yao haijakuja. The 31 which have come, they are being processed. 13 of them, I will give the statistics after today, maybe tomorrow. 13 of them have been processed. In fact, 2 counties are ready to start putting their annual procurement plan in the system. They are ready, they can put it.
Despite earlier concerns raised by the Council of Governors, Mbadi says 31 county governments have registered for the electronic government procurement system, with 13 devolved units fully compliant. He says hundreds of trainers of trainees have been capacitated to ensure the smooth implementation of the system. Sylvia Gatti reporting for Prime Edition.
There you've heard it from the Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi. Also yesterday, the Council of Governors called for a press briefing at Delta House in regards to the same procurement system. You've just heard from the CS clearly stating that 13 counties were ready to roll out that particular system. Let's get to hear from the devolved heads.
Governors say counties will not be coerced into adopting the e-government procurement system. The county bosses said while they remain committed to effective service delivery, the national government must consult them before issuing national circulars or policies affecting devolved functions.
Only 3 counties participated in the pilot. Yet the system was enforced nationally before the gaps identified by the piloting process. In fact, I want to confirm that it has even failed in the counties in which it was piloted. It's not working.
The national government has defended the new procurement regime, saying it will stem corruption and improve efficiency in public procurement.
The e-GPay system, as currently implemented, undermines the distinct status of county governments as provided in the Constitution. We therefore call on the National Treasury to immediately withdraw the circular directing the counties to implement e-GPay until proper consultations legal alignment, and capacity building are undertaken.
Waziri mpya aliyeteuliwa hivi majuzi, Mheshimiwa Aden Duale, ataendesha wizara yake kupitia mambo ambayo yanaitwa matamshi ya barabarani, yale ambao tunasema ni roadside declarations, ambazo kulingana na katiba hazina uzito wowote. Kile kinachoonekana ni kana kwamba anataka tu kuleta vurugu kati ya serikali kuu na serikali za county, hasa katika matamshi yale.
Meanwhile, governors have accused the national government of setting counties on a warpath with universal health coverage staff. The Council of Governors accused the Ministry of Health of altering the contracts of the UHC staff without the involvement of the county governments.
They have failed to provide sufficient funding to absorb these people until their contract has come to an end. They want to set up the counties against their workers.
Governors want the Ministry of Health to allocate 7.7 billion shillings in line with SRC-approved salary scales if they want a seamless transfer of UHC staff to the county governments. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Now, we heard it from the two levels of government. I want to rope in Daktari. Daktari, you've heard from the national government, especially through CS John Buddy, and now the governors clearly stating on that particular system. Let me get your opening remarks on this.
Thank you very much, Abdiaziz, for inviting us on this. I think e-procurement is the way to go in terms of fighting corruption. And we historically know very well that resistance will always come when you know very well things that you have been benefiting from. The corruption loopholes that government have had before will be sealed now, and that's why you see Council of Governors declaring their stand as if they are in a different government. I mean, we are all ruled by the constitution of this country, and e-procurement or digital technological procurement process is something that all countries are yelling for. I mean, you realize that countries that have gone that way have minimized quite a number of things that were going on the wrong direction. For example, what is this e-procurement process that we are looking at? This e-procurement process will enhance accountability. It will enhance efficiency. It will enhance cost-saving system. And of course, it will also empower others who have never had an opportunity to be privileged to get any contract in the government. And therefore, what we are trying to see is that corrupt leaders who are trying to protect their corrupt system and avoiding systems that will going to bring sanity within the procurement process of the government. And that's why you see they will start poking holes on e-procurement that has taken 15 years or 13 years after it has been rolled in terms of piloting the system. And that even was long overdue because technology does not require a long period piloting. Technology is something that people who understand that system will put it in place after they test it for 3 months. After testing it for 3 months, as they correct all the processes where they need to be adjusted, then eventually the system takes its way, or it takes pave. It clears way for people, the users, to use it effectively. And therefore, the challenge we have in this country is when people want to fight corruption, we will always find people who fight back so that they continuously loot public resources. These governors you see, some of them were elected when they were very poor. Today they are billionaires, overnight billionaires, and nobody have questioned them where that resources came from. Meaning then, they are the direct beneficiaries of malpractice within the county. And therefore, I think the president has come very clear in terms of what he wants for this country. I know quite a number of noisemakers have made a lot of noise when the government was formed. saying that, oh, the president is corrupt, oh, the president was like this, giving him several names. But now he said, okay, you gave me several names? Yes, fine, I accept all those names. But the important thing is that now let's move on. How do we move on? We must subject ourselves to processes that will going to audit us whether one is there or not, and will not give us a loophole to loot public resources. And therefore, those who have not looted enough, it is too bad for them. I tend to think governors must now wake up. Reality has caught up with them. If they have not looted enough, unfortunate for them.
Okay.
But I tend to
think,
I tend to think that, I mean,
we let that for the investigative agency.
I totally agree. I totally agree that is meant for the investigative agency.
Yes.
But these are reports indicated, it's documented reports indicated in the Auditor General's report. I'm not just speaking because I just want to attack them. No. I'm just saying facts that have been found subsequently. Every year's audit has reported malpractice and loss of public fund in all the counties.
Okay.
And therefore, the only way to block that is through e-procurement, and they should be ready for that.
David?
Thank you so much for having me. You know, every time something is resisted, it has a silver lining. And from the look of things, seeing what is going on and the many noise we are having around, this resistance, especially from the county bosses, signals something. Why would you want to have a problem with an e-procurement system? Because one, it is just a way of helping us have transparency in how we do procurement. Every Kenyan would want to know how Vihiga County, for example, is doing in terms of procurement. I want to know if I bid for a tender and I do not get it, there should be clear reasons to why I did not, and I can find that for myself. The days when people go sit down in some room and close and sort out and decide we are going to give David Alulu this tender because he's going to give us some kickbacks should be far much gone by now. But then when you hear everybody shouting and saying, no, you know, this and that, it shouldn't be like this, it's because they know, like the Dr. is saying, somebody knows that this is going to rattle our stream, because to many people, the procurement is the stream that never dries out. Because somebody knows from every procurement, I shall use my proxies, I shall use my friends, I shall use my families to get the tenders and do everything else. So with the many noise, you see, they say if there is no voice to the leadership, if there is no any voice or opposition to any program that is being projected, then there is a problem. So with this, everybody should know that we are headed the right direction. And that is why fellows are having issues with the e-procurement, because somebody already knows, going this direction, my scheme shall be detected so easily. And with a country where people are so enlightened that even just looking around, somebody knows what you want to see, then everybody is very worried about the systems and how it's going to work. But I would encourage the Kenyan leadership, especially those who directly benefit from the procurement, to for once accept that this is a country for all. And being a country for all, then everybody deserves a right to benefit from their country. And if e-procurement is the direction to go, to be able to have even the young man in somewhere in Mandera, somebody somewhere in Turkana can still, in the comfort of their home, go into the online and upload their tender and everything else without having to travel. There is a time I saw people going to a government facility to stay there for 2 days, waiting for tenders to be opened, and then I don't know, this and that done. So I think it is about time we accept and agree that we cannot be where we were during independence 60 years later. Every day is a new day, and we must agree. You know, I went to another country sometimes back before we got the digital driver's license. I had my booklet, a driver's license. So when somebody asked me for my license, I gave them. They laughed at me. They said, "You are a Kenyan?" I said, "Yes." Kenya is a very progressed and advanced country. Why are you having these old things, the colonial things? And so there comes a time we have to agree that change, much as is painful, but change is good. Change will help us, and we should do this in being mindful of the generations to come. What do we want to transfer to the next generation? What do we want to give to people that are now walking in and they want to find systems rolling and working? So I think it is about time. And one of the reasons to why young people have been shouting a lot, even online, it's because these doors are locked to everyone. You must know somebody somewhere in order for you to be able to do business with government. We need to move from that, where you have to know so-and-so for you to secure yourself an opportunity to do business with government. And I think e-procurement is what is going to open up the flow and the room for everybody, the known and the unknown, young and old, to get into the system and get to know how to walk, how to work, and how to move on as a society. So I think the chair of the Council of Governors is wrong to try and resist that cooperation. I think it is about us having cooperation. And, you know, sometimes it worries me for governors to feel like they are in another country outside Kenya. So it is important that we get to build an environment where we know that the county government, the constituency, the ward, and the national government, we are all under the same government called the Republic of Kenya. Okay. And for that reason, let's work together. Let's cooperate. Whatever seems not to work, we work around it to improve. Whatever is working, we embrace it and move forward with it.
Abdiaziz, I just wanted to add one thing. I think it is important for Kenyans to know what they go through. For example, if you apply a tender with full documents to one of the ministries or one of the parastatals, and that document is handed over to the relevant people or authority within that department, you will realize that there are people who remove essential document from some of the bidders, and to make sure that when it goes before the bidding committee, they have insufficient support documentation. This happens in procurement. This happens in our crime system. You realize that a file, for example now, as you mentioned, Shah case has been taken to DCI. You realize that a file that has been completed and submitted to the ODPP, one way or another, someone will pluck one document or two from that file in order for ODPP to return back that file for completion. And this has happened in many cases that we even know. There are quite a number of even cases we know that happened in that manner. And therefore, when we have Kenyans who are not honest, when we have people who don't trust their own system, when we have people who believe that getting something out of what they are doing is the only way to go, then corruption will never end. And the current process will never be effective. The only way to know that everyone has got the opportunity to submit his documentations in a complete manner within any procurement system or even crime process is through e-platform. And therefore, we must embrace this system for the larger benefit of the Kenyan population. We are not interested in individuals who think that they may not benefit or this process will going to shed light on their malpractices before. And therefore, what we are trying to say is that it is time for us to embrace. There are many countries who have done this. For example, I just landed from South Africa and I've been there for the last 15 days. And you realize that every transaction, even in the supermarket, are electronics. People tell you we are cashless. Use your card. That is a transparency system or platform that has been put in place. You realize that in Dubai, recently I was in Dubai, the government has been has forced everybody to pay the government payments through a card. So if you don't have a card to pay, the government will provide you a card that you load in your cash and then go and make payment. You will not see any cash payment anywhere. You don't need to go to any office to go and make any payment. Okay. You just sit at the comfort of your desk and pay all services. Like of late, the e-citizen platform has given us a bit of laxity in terms of making payments, simply because it does not pick the bigger payments. It only takes small payments. What we want is everything should be on e-platform, both procurement and payment system. Okay. That way we can be defined, as he said. When you go to some other countries and you say you are from Kenya, people will tell you Kenya is a Europe in East Africa.
Yes.
And when you come here, you find people reasoning in a very naive manner. Then you feel ashamed of yourself. Therefore, we tend to think the council of my friend, the chair of the council of governors, should retreat from the statement he has given and embrace the digital world. And I know he's on his last term. Okay. And if he leave that legacy behind, it will be something that will follow him for the rest of his life, and we're going to be happy that he has left a very good legacy. Okay. So there's no need of him being pushed by probably others who are still looking for a second term, and that second term, there will be no opportunity to steal.
Okay. Okay, let me go to David now. What the Council of Governors are clearly stating, it's a simple matter. They're saying some of the issues they had noticed, especially in those 3 counties that were doing the pilot phase of this particular program, they should be addressed. Is that not a legitimate concern?
It is a very legitimate concern. But you see, one error should never make the entire systems to collapse. I don't think that is the way to go. If I came here for an interview and one camera is not working, it doesn't mean that we should shut down the entire show because one camera is not working. We use what is working, what is not working, we fix it and get it flowing and working. The mentality of, sometimes back during President Uhuru's era, there came a UHC, a piloting program that worked, I think, in Nyeri, Machakos, and I think one other counties. So when the system was moving on, everybody was smiling. And then there came President Ruto, who says, we want to roll it across the country. And people say, no. We want to do piloting first. We want to do try and error first before something happens. So in Kenya, we have one big problem. A problem of opposing literally everything. Everything that comes, somebody must find a way of opposing it. Like I said, I was in another country somewhere, and somebody was telling me we have a problem with how Kenya works, that everything that must be implemented finds its way in the courts, and the court must give some orders, restraining orders, not to do this or that, because we are turning our country into a country of activism, that everybody must say something about something so that they feel a sense of belonging. But to me, I think there comes a time when we need to be patriotic and say, yes, we know nothing can ever be perfect. Actually, my teacher told me, if you scored 100 out of 100, we suspect you cheated. All right? So there is always a time when you have to score 95 or 90. Most of the courses in university, the pass mark is 40%. So if pass mark at the campus is 40%, it means if I'm at 50 or 60, I'm doing very well. If I'm at 70, I've really passed. So there shall never be any system of government, or even in your own house, that will be 100% perfect. There will always be some challenges. What we ought to be doing right now, and what our leaders would be doing, is to try and address the issues that they are saying was a challenge, address them even as we move on. Sometimes it is until you make that decision that I'm moving forward is when you are able to fix some of the things that you thought you have issues with. But every time you say, I will never begin until such a time when I have everything else fixed, then, my brother, you'll never move forward. So the issues are very legitimate. The concerns are very real. We know it is true. Actually, if they told us that everything is seamless, everything is perfect, I would have a problem. But the fact that we have some challenges in there, then I am confident we are headed the right direction, because whenever we see and notice of issues that needs to be fixed, then it means people are at work. People are doing what they got to do. People are able to work out the challenges that exist. So I think, to me, like the president said the other day on Sunday, it is about time we agree. There comes a time we have to sometimes offend and hurt people, but we have to move. When 2003 President Kibaki came into office, then there came one famous minister, the late John Michuki, with the traffic rules. There was a lot of complaints, including people saying we are going to withdraw our matatus on the road. But eventually, people agreed, and we had some sanity on our roads. And so sometimes, unless you push it hard, people will always find a reason to why they should not do something. But then, as a government, I think this is that time where the government should not retreat. I've been telling people, if I was to be elected today, I would get into an office without thinking about my second term. Why? Because when you start thinking about your second term, you start listening to the voices of dissent. But when you get there and tell yourself, I have come to work and fix this situation. If people will appreciate my work and give me another chance, well and good. If they don't, I have a legacy to leave, like my brother here says about the governor, who should build a legacy that will go with him the rest of his life. So sometimes we should look at things that will change our lives and our community and society for the eternity. That when people come 10, 20 years from now, they'll say, Daktari implemented this and it is working for all of us. I think because we talk, like, for example, free primary education. Today, people are speaking about the systems that was put in place with President Kibaki, and they say, wakati wa Kibaki things were flowing because somebody insisted this must work. Every time we sit back and we want to massage some ego, we want to make everybody comfortable, we want everybody to say, yeah, now this is good, we can move, because what people want, they want something that will satisfy them and their interest. When we go that direction, we fail. But whenever we look at the bigger picture, I think we shall make it work. It is about time the leaders in this country embrace change. Okay.
Now, from that particular system, there is another system at the Social Health Authority, which not only the Cabinet Secretary for Health, that is Aden Duale, and the President clearly stated had detected attempts to defraud the Social Health Authority. That's why you saw why the CS invited the IG, the DCI boss, Mohammed, as well as other investigative agencies within the country to hand over 1,000 files. Let me start with you, Daktari, on that particular note, because there have been voices that the CS for Health should resign over the attempts to defraud the Social Health Authority, which even the President clearly stated they will not pay the 30 billion debt that was accrued by NHIF until they are verified.
I think it is important for us to understand what is happening in Afya House or the Ministry of Health. Those early days when we were working there, the place used to be defined as Mafia House, meaning it is the most corrupt institution in the country where a cartel has developed roots and you cannot even touch them.
Which report are you basing that on?
I am basing this report on 3 factors. Have you heard of COVID billionaires? Have you heard of the Global Fund procurement that was flagged by Global Fund themselves, the donors? Have you heard of the medical equipments that were designed to be supplied to the county hospitals? Where are they? Have you heard of the mobile clinics? These are schemes that are designed to loot resources from the ministry. The reason being is that medical equipments, medical supplies, drugs are the most expensive commodities within the system of the government, and they come with huge consignments. They come with huge budgets, and people are looking at this huge budget to see how best they can loot it quickly. So this has been traditionally defined as a system that must just operate, because if you can't join them, then you'll be out. So most of the people who are appointed there to go and make changes usually give up and they join eventually. Now, when you find someone is firm, I like the CS Duale, who has came out and said, okay, we have been accused of being corrupt as Kenya Kwanza government. Then let's do our job. And we do our job ensuring that business will not be as usual. And when he started the process of cleaning up Afia House, resistance has started. And resistance in Afia House comes from the system, the people who work there. They are people who have worked from day one of their employment at the age of 26, and until 60, they are still there.
Mm-hmm. And what about those hospitals? Because what the CS was talking about...
No, yes. It doesn't come from there. I want you to understand. Let's not go to the periphery. We must understand where the root cause of everything is. And then it trickles down into those private hospitals. It trickled down into those government hospitals. Where will you find a hospital in Mandera waking up one day and putting claims without assistance of someone in SHA headquarters or someone in Afia House? So the chain is indeed from top to bottom, and then it reverses back when the money gets there. These are the systems that Adan Duale decided to crash. And what happens? You will find big shots, including members of parliament, coming out speaking on corruption, and yet they are part of those corruptions. As he has stated, those speaking loud are owners of those facilities who have been looting the National Hospital Fund for many years. And that is where they have been collecting their resources from. And therefore, I think there are two issues which must be defined here. One, is it that Duale is a beneficiary to what people claim to have been paid to facilities, or a system that has been corrupt, that Duale decided to track it until he found where the problem is, and now he's taking people to DCI for investigation and for possible prosecution. And therefore, I think Kenyans should understand that when the frog is making noise, in a proverb in my homeland we said, when the frog is making noise, it does not stop the cow to drink the water. And therefore, I don't think the noises that the current beneficiaries of the corruptions within the system are making will stop Duale to do his mandated role within the ministry. Because when you go to Afia House now, some of us understand Afia House very well. You see the sanity. You see people hiding. Before, you will see Afia House is a place of cash cow for many people. And sometimes it is not only in Afia House. This is rooted up to Treasury, it is rooted up to Parliament, it is rooted to other ministries, even sometimes State House. And now, when those systems have been collapsed now, and you see Duale has taken over the ministry and said, okay, we are doing our own shit here, and this shit must stop. You will find people coming out saying Duale must go. Where is he going? I mean, he has been given a duty to do. So we will be waiting for him to complete that, clean up Afia House, and make sure that Kenyans get the services they deserve within the health system. Governance, you see the way they are saying that, Duale, it's not about community health workers, or what do we call the ones they are talking about, or the budget allocation. They are also leaning towards the SHA, but they don't want to come out and clearly and say, he has stopped our payments, because they are also beneficiaries to that.
Now we leave it to the investigative bodies to tell us who are those people.
We will wait. We'll wait to see, but we'll be following it keenly. Abdiaziz.
We'll wait for that particular report. Let me allow David as well. David, as you comment on that as well, what has been the problem back then you have noticed within NHIF now the SHA system, according to the government, is addressing?
For starters, like we said earlier, when it rattles them, they will always shout. So, one, the NHIF was very easy to manipulate, very easy. I heard somebody speak of a story somewhere many years back where they would go to a hospital and collude with the team at the hospital. I'm not sick, but for some reason, I'll be admitted into the hospital, and then the bill will come out 250,000. Then somebody will take 150,000, I take 1,000, and our deal is done, you know, defrauding the systems. Now, we are at a point where the government has put up a system that for you to defraud, you shall have really worked beyond your ability. I've had cases of people saying SHA is not working. Let me say it here without fear of contradiction. I am a direct beneficiary of SHA. Just the other day, my wife had serious issues with her health. She went into hospital, and SHA paid. It really paid, not just saying, it paid. And so if I have seen it work, I have no reason to say it's not working. But now the problem we have here right now is this mere fact that somebody was used to what the minister has been saying, to putting up some false claims and lies just to defraud the government. And now we are in a place where they say, you know, I was shocked to hear that 10 billion, you know, 10 billion is not 10 million. Yeah. 10 billion money that was detected as suspicious claims to SHA. And with that stopping, you know, somebody must really have some pain, because I'm imagining somebody had made plans to get maybe 200 million or 500 million from this thing, and now the government has said this will not pay. And going even a step further, even suspending the license, the operation license of some hospitals. This would by all means offend some people. But truth be told, fighting corruption is the most expensive initiative any government can undertake, because everybody in the system would want to find a way of defrauding and stealing from the public. And so sometimes we had a famous US ambassador who was saying the system of thievery. Everybody wants to thieve something. Everybody, when you get an opportunity, we are in a system where when somebody gets a government appointment, the first thing they start thinking is, how am I going to steal from the government? Because they want to look for means and tools of getting more than they deserve to earn.
Okay.
And so if we were to take the right direction, we must agree that fighting of corruption is a very expensive trend, and it is not going to go well with so many of us. There are so many people who will get hurt in the process. There are so many people who will feel like their rights are being stepped on, because there are people who think stealing is their right. They think defrauding the public is their right. So when you stop them, they'll come fighting back. They'll come back guns blazing. But I think it's about time those of us who care to stand and say, if it is anything to deal with corruption, we have to support the systems.
Okay.
We have to make this thing work. We have to make SHA succeed, because it has already indicated that it is working. It is working. Okay. And if it is working, then let us help it work. Okay. The other day, a friend of mine was going to India for I think eye surgery or something of that kind, and I was surprised that the government pays 500,000 for you. And you know, I did not know until people are saying it is not working. Then we found a way to go, and we reached out to SHA, and they said, yes, we'll pay 500,000. So you need to just look for the extra money that you needed. If that is the case, really, okay, why not we support the system and make them work? You know, this character of us wanting to complain about everything and making everything, including a good thing. You see, KBC is looking very nice. When you watch KBC, it is looking very beautiful. It is actually showing some of smartest pictures than some other organizations. Okay. But then if our character is to say, no, because KBC is associated to the government, so it is not good, then we shall keep crying foul even on a good thing. Okay. Let's give credit where it is due. Good things are good things. Fighting corruption is a good thing, and we all must support it. SHA is working. It is not perfect, But then we can make it perfect by supporting it and encouraging the reforms to take place. Those who are crying fouls, it is okay. Like my brother says, kelele chura haizui ng'ombe kunywa maji.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for that particular comment. Especially aside from the Chan, remember there are so many things in KBC.
There are quite a number of things. Abdiaziz, I just want to add one thing before you give me your next shot.
Yes.
In regards to this, I think the tradition of you remember when the roads to northern Kenya was announced by the president.
Yes.
People were criticizing the president for no reason. When he has said IDs are free, there will be no vetting. Very respected people, including governors, were saying we are terrorists, so we should not be given IDs. You know, and now, because Duale has done a great job, people think they must criticize it. And this is all about the critics. I was shocked. A medical doctor who is a senator. What is his name? Dr. Remind me of Kakamega senator. Bone Halwale. Saying that for corruption to end, Duale and Mwangangi should go. Or the chair of Shah. You know, that person understands this system very well. Unless he has become deschooled after becoming a politician and went into the corridors of
Since
politics.
he's not here...
No. I'm not taking him as a personal issues, but I'm just saying we shouldn't expect that from someone, a medical doctor who understands that. The system, as my brother has put it, this system is a system that is working. And those people, as the president said sometimes back, this is a system that is initiated for the weak ones, not those ones who have money and they want to steal more. That's why you see someone who cannot afford overseas medical expenses gets benefits from Shah. So I think it's all about the corruption that Duale is fighting, and it is this corruption that is fighting back. And if he stays firm, focused, I put an article on one of the social media and I said, if Duale does not get distracted by these noisemakers, then we will have a clean Afia house that will benefit Kenyans where it is supposed to, what it's supposed to do and how it's supposed to be done.
Okay. And then finally, gentlemen, given that we're running out of time, let me delve into this particular issue of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, particularly on voter registration. This is not the first time Daktari and David were having this particular conversation. The registration will kick off at exactly on September 29th. That will be on a Monday across the country. Quickly, Daktari, let me start with you. In terms of addressing IEBC when it comes to the voter registration, because this is a matter that has been even in court so many times in 2017, 2022, what should they be addressing?
I think first, according to the procedures of Electoral Commission, IEBC, there was this clause which says that after every 10 years, the register becomes absolute, and a new boundary review is done, and a new registration is also effected. This time, this has not happened because of the crisis we went through. Meaning then, they are diving direct into the existing system. We will have a lot of crises there. One, first and foremost, there were areas where voter registrations were done double or 3 times. And to increase the number of voters, you'll realize someone will have 3 IDs and he's registering for 3 voter registration. This is something that has been in question for many years. And we expected this time when the new registers are rolled out, we will have a clean registers with the minimal malpractice. You also have people who have passed on, but the IDs exist with their families. And now they are still in the registers. And during the election time, the May time of the election, people will use those IDs to vote in, or the register there will be malpractice in terms of voting in. So we expected, I know the fault is coming not from IEBC or commissioners, it's coming from the delay in bringing the commissioners on board. But the important thing is that we will have quite a number of malpractice. Number 3, voter movements. You realize that you want to go and move your voting polling stations to another one. And last time what we experienced is that officials within IEBC who are mandated to do that will eventually drop those requests for change. And you realize that the people who you wanted to go and vote for you, and they moved their polling station to where you wanted, have not been affected because they have been influenced by another politician who is trying to protect that polling station so that people don't move there, or that constituency. So I think there are quite a number of things they need to do. One, they should have people who will going to do the right thing, and with minimal interference from politicians, particularly those who are currently in office, because these are people who will always want to manipulate the process so that at the end of the day, when election time comes, they have an upper hand to manipulate further the election process. Secondly, they need to be very keen with the registers in terms of who is actually still there, who is not there, who has passed on. These are things that I don't know how they're going to prove it. That needs to be. Last election, someone who was 150 years old voted. Are you aware of that? 150 years old, it was in the domain. I mean, it's crazy for an ID that shows the age of that particular person is 150. Even if he will have been alive, that particular person cannot even vote. So I think Electoral Commission, my friend Hassan, with his chair, the rest of the team, I'm sure because they were also keenly observing what has happened in 2022, they will go and address those issues. But the important thing is that we should not be rushed also, because September, probably in northern regions, this is when the dry season is actually at the high peak. And we know pastoralists usually move away with their animals, including their families outside the country where they can get pasture and water. And that's how 2010, was it 2019 census? We were told we have grown less by 500,000. You know, we were 1.2 in 10 years back, and now we grew to 600,000. Meaning, what happened? The population was out of the country before greener pasture, and it was a very bad time. So they need to concentrate on the actual context of the areas that they want to go and provide. They should not only look at the urban centers. Finally, we would have loved for them to cut costs in terms of this process, to introduce a digital platform. I can register from the comfort of my phone for voters registration if they put to the system. The way we can check now, I can actually go into the check my status. They should also give us an opportunity to feed in our information and choose our polling station. That way, it will be effective, cost effective for everybody. It can be done very quickly, and of course we can make savings. And that way they will also have a proof of what has been done, because systems never lie. They cannot erase systems once that is done. So my prayer is that they will introduce a digital platform where everyone will go into register the polling stations that he'll wish to vote in from the comfort of his house, so that we don't necessarily create a situation where people have to travel to a polling station in northern Kenya, just pay around 50,000 to come back, to go and register and come back.
Okay, Sawa Dr. Let me allow also David to chime in with this particular conversation, especially, David, this comes at a very critical time when cleaning up that particular register. We do have a new commission in place in terms of IEBC. Why is this vital, especially setting in mind that in November we'll be having these by-elections?
You know, I've said it before, Kenya, we are a very advanced nation, digitally and in many other ways. I've said it, we need a legislation that would allow that when somebody attains age of acquiring a national ID, as your biometrics and details are being captured for ID, at that particular time, you should be registering for voters registration or a voters card, so that we do not spend so much money on voter registration, yet we also spend money on registering people to get their national IDs. Now, if we have a person registering to get a voter's ID also registers to be a voter, then in Kenya, if I die today, they will be issued with death certificate to ascertain that this man has exited. So when the government is issuing the death certificate to a person who has died, they also go ahead to delete this person from the systems and by extension delete this person from the IEBC voter register. In other words, like we are saying we need an e-procurement, I think we need e-register for IEBC as well. We need to have an e-register where I do not need to go through a lot of hassles just for me to be a voter. I need to know that as a registered citizen of this country, one of my rights is to vote for my leader. And if that be the case, if I went into the system today, I'll check my details and I'll know I am legible and viable. I can go and vote. So I think this is the area that, again, people would resist because it is straightforward. But there is a need for us as a nation to agree that we need to advance. We need to move. Many people come here to benchmark, including when the famous Justice Maraga nullified the presidential elections. There are so many judges who came to Kenya to just witness that season, how it was happening. So if we have done some of landmark rulings in this country, we have made some of landmark decisions that other people envy and come to learn from us, I think we should also go a step further and grant IEBC access to the national data where every registered citizen should also be extended to the voters register, create an e-register for voters so that everybody can access the information, and those who have died, they are removed from the systems automatically, because even as you go to do the registration starting from the date they have announced, you'd realize that there are those people who died 10, 20 years ago who still exist in the voter register. And like he says, and the famous tale from Baba, who says somebody wakes up from their grave, they go and vote and come back to lay in their grave because systems are faulted. Systems are not working. So it is important we sort this out and make sure that it works. Number two, I think it is going to be hard, especially in places where by-elections are being conducted.
Yes.
You know, they won't have sufficient time to onboard everyone for this particular assignment. So probably this will be for the long term. But you see, if we had now an e-register, and for example, if the legislation would allow that we have every registered citizen also extended as a voter, then we wouldn't be having these issues of how am I going to do it, how am I going to run it, and all this. So I think it's about time we agree to move. Just like we digitized our licenses, we should now move ahead and agree this manual registration of IEBC should be scrapped and have this thing done digitally, and by, like I said, just use the government registration bureau and get this thing done.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Just
30 seconds.
Just 30 seconds, yes.
Not even
I
one,
think
30, because
Kenya is the only country where you may have an ID and you are not allowed to access anything. You are not a citizen.
True.
For example, you have national ID. In other countries, you have citizenship or an ID. Passport, you don't need to be vetted. You don't need to be processed. You just walk in and get your passport, pay for the fees and walk your... Kenya, you can still, you can be denied, you can be told at the passport department that you are not a Kenyan, and on the other hand, you have an ID. So it is a nation that needs to embrace e-platforms, so that if you think the registration bureau for national ID is not genuine, then, and you think that the people who are processing your passport are genuine, then we do away with the registration for ID and we go into passports. So I think that what I'm trying to say is that we need to have a system in place that is digitally monitored and that can be digitally managed in order for us to have efficiency in all our processes from ID to even IEBC, as my brother has put it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daktari. That is Dr. Issack, Hassan, a governance expert, as well as David Alulu, the Chief Executive Officer of Regional Agency for International Development and Leadership. Gentlemen, thank you for your time this morning. And of course, this is a conversation that we'll be keeping an eye on, including IEBC that we're speaking of, is about to appear before the Public Accounts Committee over audited matters on the end of the year of June 2023. A story we're keeping an eye on, as and when we get it, we'll be informing you later on. But now we need to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be speaking matters education, so don't go too far.